Hi, I'm Alex from Wilkinson Cameras, and today I'm talking about the new Canon 200-800mm F6.3-9 IS USM lens. Yes, you heard that right, 200-800mm zoom lens. This is an affordable super telephoto zoom lens for sports and wildlife enthusiasts. I've been out with a local mountain bike and sports photographer, Will Brignal, to put it to the test. So I'm testing two brand new Canon lenses today. We're going to film some mountain bike photography. So I've brought in Will, a local photographer who specialises in mountain bike and commercial mountain bike stuff. If you want to give him a follow, it's at Briggy Smalls on Instagram. And we're going to basically put the lenses in his hands today for stills because it's his speciality. And then I'll be shooting some video to test them out as well. This is one of 3 new Canon lenses released today, so check out our other videos to find out more about the RF24105 f2.8L IS USM Z lens or the RFS 10-18mm. But back to the 200-800mm. This lens is one for sports and wildlife photographers who want to see as far as possible and carry just one lens with them. It's also compatible with teleconverters, but more on that later. Just quickly, I've been using a beta sample or a pre-production model, and as a result I can't zoom into the images to show you any close-ups. We're just not allowed to do that with beta samples. Those with a BDI will also spot that I had to tape over the lens when out in public, so please ignore the black tape in some of the clips. The RF 200-800mm is the world's first telephoto zoom lens up to 800mm, and let's just immediately talk about the size of it. Okay, it's not tiny, but it's not that big considering the focal length and range of this lens. I was absolutely amazed by how light it was. It does weigh just over 2 kilos at 2,050 grams, and it's 314mm or around a foot long when contracted. So I wouldn't go as far as describing it as lightweight or small, but it's really not bad when you consider that it's 200-800mm and it feels really well balanced.
It is funny, it's almost as long as you, with that.
No, it is, look, there's me belt there, that's my head. Is it long, come follow me, sports fans. Is it long as a Jack Russell? There we go, right there.
Jack Russell for scale.
Hello. It's like the most unprofessional Wilkinson's Cameras video in the world, look. It is one Jack Russell's length, to clarify.
I've mentioned this before in other videos, including our RF 10-20L lens review, but the ability to make new lenses smaller, lighter and more feature-filled is all thanks to the Canon RF mount. It's allowed whole new lens designs, more custom buttons, improved IS, faster AF, the chance to design lenses that simply didn't exist before, like this one. I know that right now, 2 things are going through your mind. The first one is f9. Yes, this is f6.3-9, so it's not the fastest aperture lens in the world, but that's not as important today as it once was. Back in the day, DSLRs couldn't focus above f8. They didn't feature in-body stabilization, nor were the lenses as well stabilized. So yes, f9 and f11 lenses would have been absolutely laughable in real-world scenarios several years ago. But this lens features 5.5 stops of optical IS and 7.5 stops when combined with a body with IBIS at the 200mm end. So you can shoot at lower shutter speeds than on an older lens, compensating for that smaller aperture. Canon say that you can shoot up to 1/30th of a second handheld with IBIS. I wouldn't say this is overly practical for most sports or wildlife use though. Of course, for fast-moving subjects, you'd still like to have a nice fast shutter speed, but modern sensors are better at shooting higher ISO, producing a lot less noise than they used to. And then, of course, if your computer can handle it, there are options in post-production to bring that back as well. There's going to be a compromise in a super telephoto zoom like this, which is balancing price, features, and aperture is going to be one of those. The second thing that I know you're excited about is the big grey body. Yes, this is a big white telephoto Canon lens, but despite its pro looks, it's not an L series lens. Canon have given it a white or grey finish to ensure that the optics stay heat stable even in bright and hot conditions. That white coating isn't to look good or stand out in a crowd, it's to reflect the heat, and it's part of their commitment to ensuring great image quality from this lens. Plus, it looks pretty cool. It's also weather sealed and has 2 custom buttons as well as a combined control/focus ring. This means that you can choose whether to use the focus ring for focusing, obviously, or whether to set a custom function to this, such as aperture. You can do this in camera. The custom buttons are set to AF hold by default, but again, you can change these in camera. You can control the zoom ring resistance, which will avoid any lens creep when shooting at the 600 to 800mm end, which I didn't actually notice if I'm honest, or to help when tracking subjects by limiting how quickly you can zoom in and out. The lens is made up of UD elements designed to reduce chromatic aberration and super spectra coatings to reduce ghosting and flare. We couldn't test this on the beta sample, unfortunately, but maybe in the future. For autofocus, you've got a nano USM motor, which gives you fast and precise AF and allows you to ensure even fast-moving subjects are captured with ease. The AF is full coverage with no limitations at any aperture and works with subject detection, so there's really nothing to worry about as far as AF is concerned. You can also focus down to just 80 centimeters from your subject, which is not bad at all for this type of lens. And finally, I mentioned earlier that you can use the 200 to 800 with RF teleconverters. You get 100% AF coverage with the 1.4 times and 90% with 2 times. We didn't really put this to the test today, as the 800mm end of this lens was already proving a bit much for what we were shooting. But I did briefly test this with a 2 times tele, and it is insane how far away you can see with this combination.
That's actually quite crazy. That was at 750mm, not even 800. I'm still really tight. So I probably could have gone like...
To the fence on the far side.
Yeah, pretty good though. I've had a lens that's that much reach, so it's kind of like a different way of shooting, I guess. Means you could probably sit around with a brew and like tea and stuff.
What if we put the 2 times teleconverter on it? You have to drive.
I could probably be on that hill over there, that thing over there. Yeah, because it's still tight as well. I had more to go. Yeah.
How did you find the focusing?
Surprisingly good, even at like full 800. Sharp, like fast. Like it didn't really jutter. Like sometimes it jutters, it didn't jutter at all. It's like quite fast, snappy. And the autofocus, like half held, and it followed quite well, even though it's a long lens. Because
at 800mm you're at f9, and obviously the light's fading now, but...
Yeah, we're still going. But yeah, it didn't hesitate, it tracked like full, through the full frame as well, which was good. It wasn't like hesitating halfway, it was like the full way through the shot. It was smooth, it wasn't like jittery, it was quite... I think it worked very well, yeah. Even at 800, I was quite impressed, to be fair. And now I'm going to throw a load of numbers at you, so just strap in and settle down. Because I need to quantify the insanity of pairing this lens with a teleconverter. With a 1.4 times tele, this becomes a 280 to 1120mm f9 to f13 lens. With a 2 times tele, you've got a 400 to 1600mm f13 to f18 lens. I'm not really convinced by the real world usage of this, to be honest. We didn't test this because I'd have needed to ask our riders to ride over to the next county to get them in the frame. But I guess maybe it's possible, and maybe in better light and with a tripod, we could definitely give this a go. Canon have told me that the image quality from this is going to be noticeably better using the RF 100 to 400 with teleconverters. So whilst teleconverters are entirely possible and the 1.4 times is worth considering, I'm not as convinced by the 2 times. But where this lens gets fun is when you put it with a crop sensor body, because you're getting a 320 to 1280mm with no reduction in light gathering capabilities. What do you think of it? I was quite impressed. Like, you think of big lenses being quite like chunky and slow and kind of like a bit janky, but this thing's just as fast as like a 7200 2.8 really, I'd say. Never really struggles with focus. Like, I've just zoomed in at what, 750, 800. The resolution's still really good. It's not like grainy or anything that I can see. So to have like a lens that can do 800mm from 200 and still be quite sharp is
quite impressive, I'd say. Because it's
Cool.
quite a jump, isn't it? 200 to 800, so.
I've actually been really impressed with the images and video footage that we got with this lens. It's not an L series lens, but the images were sharp and it was fast to focus. I personally think that 200 to 800mm is way too long for my needs. I love telephoto lenses. I love being able to be away from my subject and capture them in a more candid way, but 800mm is a lot. I think this will lend itself much more comfortably to wildlife photographers. For sports, maybe track-based car events, so you can get right across the track, could be a good usage for it. To get our 800mm samples today, Will had to go quite far across a field to get far enough away for us to test it. But that being said, the resulting images were sharp and autofocus was just not an issue. If you need to be far away from your subject, this is a great choice. And that is the Canon 200 to 800mm F6.3-9 IS USM lens. It sits in the telephoto lens series of standard RF lenses alongside the RF 100 to 400mm, the 600mm f11 and the 800mm f11 lenses. If you want a good all-rounder, which covers a huge distance, this is one to consider, and I did enjoy using it. If you want the very best image quality and you're happy with a shorter focal length, then you might want to look at the RF 100 to 500mm L series lens. If you want a super compact and lightweight, whilst offering a good zoom range, but not super telephoto, then look towards the RF 100 to 400mm. I've been told that this 200 to 800 6.3-9 IS USM is going to launch at around £2,400 in the UK, but we'll confirm this price in the description. I think if this price is correct, it's a very good price for what you're getting with this monster zoom range and the quality that we've got on our sample today. I'll also put a link below, and then if you're in the UK, you can buy from us or check the latest prices and offers. What do you think? Are you excited to get your hands on this? Is it going to replace any existing lenses for you or be a new addition to your kit? What are you hoping to capture with it? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more from us in the future. Thank you so much for watching.